Welcome, everybody. Less than 1 month into his second term, Trump 2.0, an even less restrained, more emboldened version of his first presidency, is bulldozing through the federal government, gutting agencies with reckless abandon. And I have to be frank and admit to you that the Democratic Party has been caught flat-footed, seems woefully unprepared for what is nothing short of a self-coup in which the state is being turned against itself by Donald Trump. Now, later today, maybe tomorrow, depending on how things go, we will focus in on the Democratic impotence when it comes to what to do here. But first, we have to lay out what's going on. And what's going on is that Donald Trump and his allies, armed with the full force of executive power and turbocharged by digital propaganda, are fast-tracking the transformation of American democracy into a full-fledged authoritarian takeover. Some are using the words dictatorship. I'm hesitating to, because there's a very particular meaning to that, and I think that Trump is at least initially going to fail to achieve that, but certainly an authoritarian fascistic takeover. And while Democrats are fumbling, Republicans are standing by, complicit in the unraveling of the republic that they say we must keep. It is a criminal power grab disguised as governance. It is a crime spree, shutting down entire agencies illegally, mass firing career civil servants, freezing congressionally approved federal funds, trying to erase constitutionally protected freedoms through executive orders. None of this is legal. Much of it is also unconstitutional, but Trump and his inner circle don't care. And as we've seen before, during the first term, in the aftermath of the first term, after the riots, if there's no one empowered and ready with either the testicular or ovarian fortitude to put a stop to it, what does it really matter? No one will stop it. They are openly defying court orders, with Vice President J.D. Vance saying in a tweet, judges have no right to interfere with the legitimate executive authority, essentially saying the law is subservient to whatever Trump as president wants to do. In other words, Trump world now claims that the judiciary has no power over the executive branch. The constitutional crisis is no longer a hypothetical. It is here. And yet, you look at what's taking place, the Senate and the House Republicans fully in lockstep, cheering it on, occasional, oh, I'm a little bit unsure about this, but doing nothing and impotent to stop it. Trump's cabinet, better described as a sort of rogues gallery of extremists and rich people, is stacked with the most unhinged loyalists you can imagine. RFK Jr., anti-vax conspiracy theorist, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, already working to decimate CDC and so much more. That's just one example. And meanwhile, Donald Trump is directing his regime to wipe out DEI programs while ramping up mass deportations based on fabricated claims of immigrant crime. My dad was telling me over the weekend how this guy, Russ Vought, he's the guy overseeing this coordinated assault on government institutions. He's been explicit about the strategy. He wants the civil servants and the federal employees to be traumatized into submission. This is an overt tactic of hardcore authoritarianism and wannabe dictators, and it is working because government workers are either being purged outright or just left paralyzed, wondering when the next assault on their rights and, of course, their livelihoods is going to land. Now, we do see some characteristics from authoritarian regimes of the last 100 to 120 years. No authoritarian regime successfully consolidates power without the help of much of the ultra wealthy. And we're seeing that. We are seeing the oligarchs of America, many of whom, of course, postured as defenders of democracy during Donald Trump's first term. They've completely folded with breathtaking speed. Look, forget about Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is inside the Oval Office, but Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they might not be outright cheerleaders of Trump, but they are certainly not standing in his way. They want to be on his good side. And then, of course, there is Elon Musk, Trump's self-appointed tech and efficiency czar, who has moved from online troll on X to the Oval Office, where he is now a fixture, and he is helping to craft these sweeping policies under the guise of making things more efficient and reducing waste. And Elon Musk's power and influence is so unchecked that when he gave this Nazi-style salute at a public event, it was excused as a gesture of passion. When he brought one of his now 13 children with who knows how many different women into the Oval Office, and the kid picked, ate, and rubbed boogers onto the Resolute desk, a hunched over and dejected Trump could do nothing other than look around. And so Elon Musk's realignment of American power is already playing out globally. And we saw him stand on a stage in Munich lecturing European governments on why they should embrace far-right movements like Germany's AfD. And at the same time, Trump's foreign policy pivot is complete. Remember, he's anti-war and he's for democracy and blah, 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 blah. Ukraine has been abandoned. The administration is preparing to negotiate peace only with the aggressor, Vladimir Putin and Russia, by surrendering to every demand. Trump saying, I don't think Ukraine should be in NATO. I don't think Ukraine's going to get all of their land back. It's just, here, Vlad, take everything you want. And of course, the chaos doesn't stop there. Trump reigniting trade wars with Mexico and Canada, looking at territorial aggression in Greenland and Panama. And if this sounds insane to you, it's because it is, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Because Donald Trump has also found a convenient way to deflect accusations of ideological extremism, positioning himself as a staunch ally of Israel. Now, we've talked about MAGA support for Israel before. Trump's, quote, support for Israel is not rooted in a genuine concern for the safety of Jewish people or sovereignty of Jewish people or Israel. Trump's interest in this stems from the age-old anti-Semitic conspiracy that the Jews control global power structures. His administration has these close ties to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Similar to Trump, Netanyahu is waging war on his country's judicial system, and it is quite an unholy alliance. And we've seen Netanyahu, weakened by war and by scandal, welcoming Donald Trump's unconditional backing, even as it fuels left-wing criticisms that conflate the Netanyahu government with the Jewish people as a whole, which I've tried to disaggregate many times before. And the result is that Donald Trump has given the far right a ready-made scapegoat if his policies fail. Now, meanwhile, Trump's inner circle is teeming with January 6th insurrectionists and people that he has personally pardoned who stand at the ready to serve as his personal enforcement squads should he need them. And so the message is clear. The Trump movement 2.0 is ready to turn to violence if necessary. And of course, they will blame anyone who says, wait a second, this is going too far. They will blame those people for the violence. And I have to acknowledge that Trump's tactics are disturbingly effective because they exploit divisions on both sides. I mean, look at the Jewish example is an interesting one with the Bibi stuff in Israel. Among Jewish communities, we have seen two extremes emerge. Number one, those who embrace this hardline, ultra-nationalist version of Zionism, supporting policies that echo the very persecution that they historically suffered. And then number two, you've got those who, in an effort to distance themselves from the Israeli government, adopt anti-Israel stances so extreme that they end up as useful idiots for anti-Semitism. Both of these play into Trump's hands, and the former enables his authoritarianism under the guise of Jewish self-preservation. The latter unwittingly aids Trump's efforts to divide and conquer, and it gives him the ammunition to claim he is the only true defender of the Jewish people. That dynamic is why his administration can propose these ethnic cleansing style policies for Gaza of get everybody out and send them somewhere else, and Netanyahu will still sign on. And it's why Trump can openly undermine democracy while still being embraced by right-wing Israeli politicians. And it's why, if and when the administration implodes, Jewish communities will find themselves, as usual, caught in a crossfire of blame. So this is way bigger than Trump. This is about a Republican Party that has fully embraced fascism, even if they do so by saying, we're not going to get in Trump's way. Well, de facto, you are embracing it. And it's about billionaire after billionaire in Trump's cabinet, in Trump's house at Mar-a-Lago, in Trump's orbit, billionaire after billionaire that has chosen profit over democracy. And it's also, and this is a critical part, about whether Democrats will finally recognize the scale of the threat and fight back with the urgency that it demands. Because make no mistake, this is not a warning anymore. The attack on democracy is not over the horizon in some distant place. It's here. Democrats are not managing it well. We will talk about that. Where are the mass rallies that we would hope to see against authoritarianism? We will talk about that as well. So I'm not starting on the most optimistic note, I acknowledge, but I think that this is as realistic a note as I could possibly present to you. Update real quick. I'm getting a lot of emails with some confused folks. The only place to get signed copies of my forthcoming book, The Echo Machine, is davidpakman.com/booksmith. I heard from some people who said the email bounced back. It's not an email, it's a web address. davidpakman.com/booksmith. More than 300 of you. I am going to have, carpal tunnel? I don't know. Over 300 of you already ordering signed copies of the book. I'll keep signing them as long as people keep ordering them. davidpakman.com/booksmith. We'll take a very quick break and be right back. If you're still using a free email service, your emails are often being scanned and tracked even after you delete them. Companies use the data to know everything about you and show you ads, even your most personal communications. That's why I recommend you check out StartMail. Unlike free email services, our sponsor StartMail never scans or tracks your emails. It also blocks tracking pixels, which companies and hackers use to capture your IP address. And when you delete an email in StartMail, it is gone forever, keeping your information private. StartMail allows you to create unlimited email aliases, protecting your identity and reducing spam. This lets you use different email addresses for different purposes, like newsletters or shopping. Plus, StartMail lets you encrypt every email, even if the recipient doesn't use encryption. Switching is easy. You can migrate all your existing emails and contacts with just a few clicks. StartMail also offers a business plan with unlimited domains, advanced phishing protection, and shared aliases for seamless team collaboration. Go to startmail.com/Pacman to get 50% off your first year. That's about $2 a month for a personal plan, or about $3 a month for a business plan, plus get 25% off additional accounts for team members. The link is in the description.